الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله وصحبه وأزواجه أجمعين أما بعد. New York City, the largest, most important city in America, the United States, has a date with history, November 4th. 3 candidates for mayor. The Republican guy with that silly hat, Andrew Cuomo, the ex-governor of New York, and Zohran Mamdani. The Republican guy doesn't seem to have any chance of winning because he's way behind these 2 other candidates. Cuomo was the governor of New York. For 10 years, he was accused of all kind of corruption, especially during COVID, what he did to the older population in older people homes or old people homes, and 13 women accused him of sexual harassment. Strangely enough, and even though he spent $20 million from taxpayer money defending himself, he wasn't convicted of anything. So, and there was Eric Adams. When he signed the contract to be the mayor, by agreeing to be a mayor, he thought it was the mayor of corruption. A deeply corrupt person. Not as much as Cuomo, but corruption is it with these candidates. The only one who doesn't seem to have a history in corruption, Zohran Mamdani. Eric withdrew, and he attacked Mamdani, calling him all kinds of things and jihadis and maybe terrorism or whatever. Who knows? I mean, it all goes to one direction because Mamdani is a Muslim, and their bigotry and hatred of Islam, support of Israel, is predominant to them. Support for Israel brings money. Who else is benefiting from the Israeli money? Cuomo, millions of dollars. I think they raised $35 million, not all of them from AIPACs, the Jewish supporting lobby here, but 35 million. They did not want a Muslim to run New York. Now let's talk about New York City itself. You have millions of Jews, you have millions of Europeans, especially Italians. You have maybe millions of blacks, and maybe millions of all kinds of nationalities, included among them hundreds of thousands of Muslims. They live there, they work there, they pay taxes there, but they don't have any influence, it seems, in the governing of the city or the state or the United States, because Muslims, as is clear, they're divided. They don't have one voice, they don't agree on anything, and they don't have as much money as the Jews. Now people have the idea that the Jewish lobby is the most influential on American politics. They mentioned that 90% of Congress receive bribes along with threats of blackmail. We have a video about this. 2 words: bribery, blackmail, from the Jewish apex. They receive a lot of money from them, and they support Israel 100% of the times, always. They're with Israel, about Israel, for Israel. We're not going to go about how the Christians really believe about the Jews according to their book, but they believe in money, so the money comes. The Muslims don't have as much money. They're not united, so their voice is much weaker than the Jewish voice in New York, Congress, and consequently in the United States. Hundreds of thousands of Muslims. They have dozens and dozens of Islamic centers, businesses. So many of them were born in New York, but as is usual, they are the target of the attack on Islam and Muslims, especially this century, since it started. And connecting them to jihad and terrorism and jihad and terrorism, all these different things, because they're Muslim, and attacking their religion. And they have no say in the government, either in New York City or state. Let's go back to Cuomo. Cuomo is a very corrupt person, a very wicked man. For 10 years, he was the governor, did not care to engage the Muslims in any way or form. In fact, Mamdani said that when he challenged him during a debate about which masjid he visited in New York, he couldn't recall the name of even one of them because he didn't care. Now, he was a Democrat, of course, and he lost the primary to be the Democrat candidate for Zohran Mamdani. Then he said, I'll be an independent. Eric Adams withdrew. He knew he couldn't win. Such a corrupt, evil man. So he said, and he called Cuomo a snake, yet he supported him against the Muslim. The what? Muslim. Jihadi terrorism Muslim. This is how the politics is run here in America. Bribery, blackmail, money talks a lot. But I want to say something, as I started saying a few minutes ago. People think that the Jewish lobby is the strongest lobby in America. Well, it isn't. It's not. The strongest lobby in America for a very long time is the insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, oil companies, what else? And the other rich people having a much larger say in the governing of the United States than most people, because they have more money. So what I mentioned has a lot more influence for longer time than the Jewish lobby. But because the Muslims were connected to what the Jews do to our brothers and sisters in Palestine, then we always think because Congress sides with the Jews like 100% of the times, they think that it's because of the strength of the Jewish lobby, which is, compared to Muslims, it's very strong. Because Muslims don't have a lobby other than giving Trump a $400 million worth of planes. Keep asking America for more money, more weapons. Or the Arabs who have money give his family $1 billion, $2 billion, who's counting? It's Muslim money. or whatever. Other than that, Muslims do not have a strong say in America. So we spoke about all the candidates. Except for Mamdani, I didn't talk at length about him. Recently, and this is the topic of our video today, he was described by Trump as a communist jihadist. A communist jihadist. As intelligent and smart as saying a Hindu Jew, except that they have some kind of fondness for cows, or a Buddhist Christian. A communist jihadist. So we need to talk about that. Communism, to put it in simple words, is taking all power from the people and giving it to the government, including taking the religion from people, making the state atheist, and suppressing religion because they want the state to be and the people to be atheist. So they suppress religion. They take all the money and give it to the government. And you have a few people sitting on top of the government making every kind of decision, living like pharaohs, while talking about the proletariat and all that stuff, and everybody shares everything with everybody else, but they control the people completely, and they suppress violently anyone with a hint of resistance. So economy is completely in the hands of the government. Socialism has elements of both communism and capitalism. So they have elements of both. Capitalism is taking most of the money and giving it to the rich people and powerful people who have access to government and money. They make all the decisions, and the system, such as in America, is always the same. Talking points are different. Some change in policies here and there. Talking points, that's all. Essentially, the system is the same, no matter who the people vote for, and they have wonderful choices here. Either you vote for Republicans or Democrats, sometimes independents, but mainly Republicans and Democrats. They are established throughout the country. They have all access, and realistically, nobody has a chance to compete with them. It's like having a coin that has the same picture on both sides. So no matter how you flip it, it's the same picture, but with different talking points and accusations for each other, and we see what's happening between them these days. So communism, socialism, and capitalism, which in essence is communism, because those who have the power and the money make all the decisions. Here in the democracies, people are allowed to sin, dance, demonstrate if they don't get shot by ICE, and think that they are making a decision. They change the vote. So once they vote for somebody else, they go to Congress, they don't want to leave, and then they still go after whoever is giving them the bribes and whoever is blackmailing them. The same system. It's ridiculous how the people here until now couldn't figure out what's going on. That's been going on for hundreds of years. So Islam, in contrast, has a free market system, not unlimited. Rich people in Islam are required to pay the zakah charity, which goes to the poor to help them. Also, the rich people, the legacy they collect, the treasures they have, is continuously broken less and less through the inheritance, okay, Islamic way of making the wealth not concentrated in some people, like a monopoly, like they do here, or in communist systems, but to have the community have access to the money. The more they have money, this is what those capitalists don't think about. The more people have money, they will buy your products. You still have lots of money coming in your pocket in this system here without any limit. And the camera is moving with me. Let me change the settings here. So, I explained that Islamic system, you're allowed to have a company, to be rich, but not unlimited. And having access to the government is in the Quran being mentioned as a warning to Muslims not to allow the rich people to have access to government, because the money will make them control the government. And then the poor people in all of these systems will suffer. But an Islamic system is different if people follow the Islamic system. Let's go now to Zohran Mamdani. Now, he has some ideas, and he calls himself a socialist. He's not communist. I don't see anything in his ideology to be communist, but he's a socialist. He doesn't deny it. And he has some ideas, such as, let's say, free bus service. How is this communism? I don't understand. You see, the public transportation system is managed or spent on by the people's money. The people who are paying taxes and pay more as a share of taxes than the richest people here. They use the transportation. If the buses are, for example, or trains are free, they can go out and work and buy things, in which case the money, part of it will go to the rich people again. They can put more police officers to, guard those people who are using the public transportation, and they are being paid by the taxes of the people. So all of this goes back to the people. It's their money. Congress in America, the minute somebody puts the first foot after being elected or re-elected, they don't want to leave. They want to stay. It's incredible. Like, look at the case of McConnell. He's been there for decades. This man freezes. I didn't freeze, he did. I'm just showing how he looked. And they won't leave. And while they're there, they have access to the bribes, and they fend off the blackmail by obedience. For example, Congress votes for the Jews 100% of the time. Sometimes less than that, not 100%. Sometimes not 100% of Congress, votes, because there are few people there who consistently are calling on their colleagues in the Congress to stop sending money and weapons to the Jews to kill the Palestinians. Well, they're a very small minority. They say 90% receive money from AIPACs, the Jewish lobby here, and all their life is not about America. Their loyalty is 100% to Israel. So Mamdani says free busing, that's not communist. Helping the poor, rents are high. I don't know what else he can do realistically, because much of what he's talking about is very difficult to force it on the people. Here in New York, but the idea, this reminds me some of those aspects with a character that is very popular here in America. His name is Jesus. Jesus. As he is described in the New Testament, this man cared for the poor, for the meek, for those who don't have power. A wonderful man. We believe in Jesus and in his mother. Most people here claim that Jesus is their God. They're fanatically supporting the same community that the New Testament said killed their God, the community that called Jesus a bastard and his mother a whore. These are the words. But they support them fanatically. So this strange combination of all kinds of things is incredible. So the Congress people, they vote for the Jews, and once one of them steps in, they don't want to leave. So Mamdani, some ideas, maybe he can actually put them into practice, but he has a lot of other people to deal with who will help him or oppose him, and he has some other ideas that run contradictory to Islam. Islam by definition means submission to the will of Allah. Allah is the name of the Creator, the one and only Creator. God, Jesus never mentioned it. He said Elohim, Allah. So by definition, you're a Muslim, you submit to the religion of Islam as a package. You don't take parts and other parts. You have your own ideas. He is a progressive. And the progressive ideas include the social agenda that Islam completely forbids for Muslims. And he promotes it. For example, the LGBTQ plus, they added more letters. Maybe in our lifetime, they will take over all of the letters. He supports that. Islam doesn't support Islam is against it. Just as the Old Testament and the New Testament. But he is progressive in this regard. The liberal, including the progressive agenda, social agenda, has been at work for many decades in America, especially the public education system. They've been teaching all these millions and millions of kids to be non-religious, in essence, atheist. The public schools are really a joint for all kinds of sex, drinking, and all other sins, because the liberal agenda is against family and honor and against religion, even though so many liberals and Democrats claim, just like the people on the right, that they are Christian. But the social agenda is so horrible, and I hope a majority of Americans reject that completely, and Islam rejects it. So Mamdani has a progressive agenda. I'm not going to mention everything. There's no time, including what I just mentioned. And therefore, Muslims totally reject this, and they should, except the Muslims who have weakness in their faith. Now, some aspects of what he calls to conforms to Islam and to the character of Jesus. Allah's blessings on him and on his mother. We believe in both of them. Jesus is not God. He is the prophet of God, Allah. And his honorable mother was not a fornicator. Jesus wasn't a bastard. The Quran tells us so. We believe in Jesus. So, some of the things he called to If Jesus were to be alive today, he would be calling for that. And I think the people on the right will call Jesus, hey, we didn't know you were communist, socialist, because their way is totally contradictory to how Jesus lived and what he called to. But there are other things that Mamdani stands for that are un-Islamic, and we reject them completely. To call him a communist jihadi is unbelievable. And this is what Cuomo has been doing because they're bigots. They want to have this idea in the minds of the people, especially in New York. Islam, terrorism, jihad, Qaeda, Hamas, same chain of sausages. You start with one sausage, you end up with the whole thing. You have to take it to suppress Islam and Muslims. They're bigots. Cuomo is a wicked, corrupt bigot. And it's not a surprise. But he has been saying, let me stand up more, and the camera, please stay where you are. Inshallah. So it's not a surprise that Cuomo actually was saying these things. What else can he say? He's a corrupt man. Deep inside here, there is nothing. Him and Adams, just like Trump, they have no faith. Their only faith is in money and power. That's why they are always subject to the control of people who have money, who bribe them, and who can blackmail them. You see, remember these keywords. So, Mamdani, is he a communist? He's not a communist. He says he's a socialist. And in our part of the world, what people call the Middle East, it's not the Middle East, but that's what people know about it, or how to call it, or what to call it. We have had our really bad experience with socialism. Yemen at one time was completely communist, and they devastated our areas, those socialists. Every country they ruled, they ruined. So I don't need a Trump or Trump himself to call anybody a communist, because he doesn't know what communism is about, or he knows, but he's just being himself. Whoever comes to him in the morning, feeds him some words, then that's what he's stuck with at that time. Communist, jihadis. Communists are atheists. Jihadis are a segment of the Muslim Ummah community. We'll talk about it. And being a communist jihadi is impossible. It's impossible, because the whole idea behind jihad is to support the religion of Islam. Whether the people have the wrong ideas and how to practice them, or have the correct ideas and the correct way to practice the ideas, or not. That's the goal. Communism is anti-religion. He's not communist. I can guarantee you that. You don't need Trump or his current company that is running the White House to tell you about communism, because even if they knew about communism, it's not about that. It's just to be wicked, divide the people, cause enmity and hatred between them. So communism, a large part of the American society hates it. Islam, same thing. Jihad, I'm sorry, also has the same reputation as communism because of these wicked people. Is he a jihadi? A jihadist? Jihadist? Arabic? Jihadist? Arabi? jihadi. And I have to take some water. My name is Jalal Abualrub, Jalalabualrub. I am from the West Bank, Palestinian. Trump, it's not a joke being a Palestinian. It's you who are the joke and people who support you. I lost 24 of my family, Abualrub, in the past few months in the West Bank. They're not Hamas. Hamas doesn't exist in the West Bank. The Jews shot them with American weapons, supported by the Americans for decades, and Biden gave them all what they wanted to kill tens of thousands of women and children in Gaza. Biden, the criminal, genocidal criminal, senile man. He was in a coma the whole 4 years. Millions of people walked in. The economy is going bad. Inflation. He's not there. Money, Jews, Gaza, women, children. Give them more weapons and more money. And he called himself a Zionist. I hope you meet Allah, the creator of everything, with everything you have done to my people. You wicked man. So, those governments that come after each other, their support for the Jews is continuous. And their attack against Islam and Muslims is continuous. Their defaming Islam and Muslims is continuous. And it was supported by the governments, and the media played a major role in the attack on Muslim countries in this century alone. They're still going at Islam and Muslims, especially the media that is controlled by the Jews, especially CNN and others. They don't take a rest. They don't sleep. And just like in Congress, those who are in, they don't want to go out, they stay there. The media, the same faces we've been seeing for decades, they're still sitting there. Unbelievable. Believable. So, my name is Jalal Abualrub, Jalalabualrub. Allah blessed me and my family to produce more than 70 books so far, translations and authoring. All of them in English, all of them about Islam, explaining Islam and defending Islam. I have thousands of articles, hundreds of videos. My website is islamlife.com, islamlife.com. After 9/11, we published this book, the first edition, Holy Wars, Crusades, Jihad, in America. This year, we published the third edition of that book, Holy Wars, Crusades, Jihad, a comparison between the rulings of warfare and how different communities treated civilians and prisoners. The Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Quran and Prophet Muhammad's Sunnah practices. Holy Wars, Crusades, Jihad. You can find this book on our website, islamlife.com, islamlife.com, one word. So, I think I'm in a good position to talk about jihad. We explained in this book with evidence that jihad is actually jihad, not jihad, and Islam is not Islam, and Muslims are not Muslims. Islam, Muslims, jihad. Jihad has 13 different types. Only one of them fighting the infidels. I have a whole chapter about infidels. They're criticizing Islam for calling them infidels. but they call Islam and Muslims infidelity and infidels. Infidelity. They accuse Islam of all kinds of things, including treatment of women. The Christians, especially the priests, the Catholic priests. Anyway, we have information here, 400 pages of comparative religion. You need to read it. Explains Islam and jihad. Jihad is 13 different types. Only one of them about how to deal with aggressive, combatant non-Muslims. Here we have rulings about how to deal with aggressive, combatant Muslims. 13 different kinds, starting with the creed, the heart, how to resist the devil, what the devil does, and the different kinds of things they come to people, the devils, to try to steer them away from worshiping God. It's all in this book. It's a very important book. Please read it and get it. I'm trying to end before it is 1 hour. Be patient. So, is Mamdani jihadist? Jihadists? No. He did not participate in any war, anywhere, for or against Muslims. He spent most of his life, since he was 7 until today, in America, and his ideology, I explained very clearly, a large segment of it is contradictory to Islam. A good point is that he calls himself a Muslim. This is a good start. But the ideology, it's not Islamic, parts of it. So, how is he a jihadist? Because he is against the Jewish pogroms, Holocaust they're doing against the Palestinians, because the Europeans in Europe did pogroms to them and the Holocaust. Palestinians didn't do it. And he rightfully stands with the Palestinian people. He should be praised for this. It's a courage that most people and politicians today don't have. And he's not getting paid by the Jewish lobby. But they want him to submit to the Jews, as if New York is Tel Aviv, as if the US Congress is meeting in Israel, not in Washington. And he won't do that. So they call him Hamas supporter. No, he's not supporting Hamas. He's supporting the civilians who are being slaughtered by the Jews with the money and weapons of the West. The real criminal, the West. The biggest criminal, the West. They're the ones who created Israel. Without them, Israel has no chance of surviving among a sea of Muslims who have been dividing, and thus we're and still are weak because of this division. So they're there as a little shack for the Western powers, so they can put all kinds of weapons and test them on the Palestinians. So Mamdani stays, and I hope he remains the same, very steady and confident in his support of the Palestinian people. And they want him to say, Israel is a Jewish state. We support no, he's not going to support so many people, especially the young people now, a majority of them do not support what America is doing in supporting Israel. They're extremely mad about it. They see what has been hidden from their eyes all these decades, especially through the corporate media. The corporate media here is not for the people. It's against the people. Now, this is something I agree about with Trump because of what they did to us Muslims, and still doing it. They want him to submit to the Jews. Well, he's running for mayor of New York, and many Jews already voted for him, and they say they will vote for him in New York. New York, you have millions of Jews, millions of Europeans, especially Italians. They have millions of all kinds of mixed races, millions of blacks. hundreds of thousands of Muslims. Hundreds of thousands of Muslims. They have dozens and dozens of Islamic centers, and they are sympathetic to their Muslim brothers and sisters in Palestine and everywhere else. That's their right, that's their duty, and there is no oppression that will force them otherwise. So running for New York, you'll be taking care of all this mix of people, different religions. He's not going to invite Hamas to come fight the people, because Hamas can't survive 3 hours here if they come. That's a crazy idea. He's not going to start a jihadi or Sharia law. It's a strange thing that every time I hear those, especially Christians and Republicans and other people, talk about Sharia law. Sharia law. I don't know. I think they have an echo here in their ears that comes here. Sharia. It's Sharia law. How is he going to do Sharia law in New York? How? Like, how? Let me put it in another way. How? It's just these people are bigots, inside and out. They say it, they practice it, and it is really disgusting. So they want him to submit to this notion that Israel is a Jewish state. Really? Really? Why would you do that? Like why? If he claims he's a Muslim, he's not going to do like these people. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, he thinks he's the Speaker. He's actually the Speaker of Trump in the House. Trump says, I am the Speaker. So the Speaker of the House and Schumer, the Senator, and Hakeem Jeffries, has a Muslim name in the beginning. He's not Muslim, he's a Christian, fanatical one it seems. They were standing with each other. We stand with Israel. We stand with Israel. Schumer has been in Congress for like how many years? 117 years. McConnell has been there for 127 years. These people won't leave. They're just sitting there. Leave. Let some fresh faces come. You know, enjoy your life away from the money and the corruption. We stand with Israel. So Hakeem Jeffries is the only black among them. The community that told us in so many ways about the slavery. The slavery that continues until today. The oppression, what they did to us and those whites and this and that. And you're supporting the Jews against us? Why? What did the Palestinians do to you or your people? There are 5 million Palestinians still living in Palestine. The Jews are the invaders. We mentioned in this book their history, how they got there. The year 70 to 71, look it up. 70 to 71, the pagan Romans expelled the Jews out of Palestine. And since then, until the pogroms and the Holocaust, the Christians were slaughtering the Jews like all the time. They take rest, few months, they come slaughter the Jews. And then the Jews invaded Palestine in the 1900s. They had no connection to Palestine. They expelled millions of Palestinians. I'm one of them. 5 million are still living there. Calling it a Jewish state, so what does that mean? What's going to happen to the true owners of the West Bank and Gaza? Palestinians own all of Palestine. Quote me on this, all of it. But what can we do? Muslims are weak, sleeping, in a coma of their own. So the Jews can claim from the sea to the river. Claim as you want. 5 million. To call it a Jewish state means you're going to do away with the 5 million who live there. What are the options? Or what are the options that the Jews haven't tried already? Expulsion? they're not going to be able to expel 5 million more Palestinians, because the countries around Palestine, Israel, will say, no, we don't need more Palestinians. Killing them all, well, they're doing that gradually. We stand with, shut your face, all three of you. The Jew who knows that the Christians are the ones who killed them throughout history, and that when it suits them, they will betray them as they did before. The Christian who believes, like the New Testament tells them, that the Jews killed their God and Savior, Jesus, who's not their God or Savior. The Jews who call, it's in the New Testament, who call Jesus, alayhi salam, we believe in him as a prophet from God. We love him. We love and respect his mother. They called him a bastard. In the Talmud, they called Mary a whore. No. Christians, do you support in these people against the Muslims who believe in Jesus? Not as a God, as you do, because Jesus never told you that he's God. And the black guy who's acting like he's a Christian, when your ancestors were brought from Africa, how many of them were Christian? So many of them were Muslim, animist, whatever, they were not Christian. They were forced to live here. They forced their religion on your community and their language and their names. Hakim in Arabic means wise. Hakim Jeffries, you're not wise. You're a vicious, corrupt man. And he receives money from the Jews. So Mamdani is a jihadist, a communist jihadist. So the question is, do I support Mamdani? I explained it, I think, very well. He has a major parts in his ideology that are contrary to Islam, that I will never support. A part of him is close to Islam. I always support that. Voting for him is a different case. I do not support voting in non-Muslim countries. I don't support. You like my view, you don't like my view, it's up to you. But I believe that our religion doesn't allow us to vote. If somebody says, I'm not going to listen to this Palestinian guy with this beard and this hat and this thobe and, maybe coming from the desert, because I know about the American system. You insist on voting for Mamdani, Zohran Mamdani, because Mamdani is a little strange to me. I don't understand what it means. We have Hamdani. His name is Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani. Definitely, if this is your decision, and I don't call on you to do that, you can't vote for someone who's telling you, I am your enemy, vote for me. I despise you and your religion, vote for me. And that silly Republican guy with the remarkable hat, you can't vote for these two. That's the only option. I doubt Mamdani will be allowed to make the changes he thinks he can make, or many of them at least. He's not going to bring jihad or Sharia law to New York. He has to rule over all these kinds of people. If he wins, who knows? We still have a few days. And I will never stop criticizing his ideology, period. It doesn't matter to me if he is whoever it is. And especially if people are tying Islam to him. Zohran Mamdani, like other people in Congress, the Ilhan Omars and the Rashida Talibs and the other, you adopted the progressive ideology which is against Islam. Get out of that mode. You will never gain our support for that, period, or them. Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani. You can't apply Sharia law in New York. And you are limited as to what you can do, especially if there is no cooperation from the Democratic Party, who didn't support him, showing their Zionism and hatred of Islam, as they did before, for years and years and years. The federal government is run by Zionists, as was the case during the time of Biden. And therefore, I don't know what you can do there. There's not going to be much of a cooperation, but you're going to try. It's up to you. I suggest to get over this socialist, progressive ideas. Get out of it. You tried to show the Democratic Party, at least the liberals among them, that, oh, I am a Muslim, but I am progressive, I am modernist. They still tie you to Islam and to jihad. See, this is not working. Why didn't you just announce your Islam completely? Get away from these ideas and from these people. There's going to be a lot of work if you win, and I don't expect you to enforce Islamic law on New York, because you can't. They won't let you. But so if you want to get there, what can I say? I ask Allah to bring the best for Islam and Muslims. That's what I can say. Again, my name is Jalal Abualrub, islamlife.com. My email is islamlife@gmail.com. And I will always support Islam and Muslims. And jihad is not only about violence. It's out of the 13 types of jihad. One of them is about dealing with aggressive, combatant enemies of Islam. If you don't like it, I can't do anything about it. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All thanks and praises are due to Allah. And may the blessings, honor and mercy of Allah be on all of His prophets. Starting with Adam, passing through Noah, Ibrahim, Abraham, Musa, Moses, Isa, Jesus, ending with Muhammad. And may Allah's blessings be on Mary, the mother of Jesus.